court calls Mr. Sam Jackson to the stand.
Mr. Jackson, thank you for being with us this evening. Could you tell us a little bit about your background?
Well, first of all, I'm a public housing resident down in New Orleans. Well, we got most of the disaster from the water.
And how long did you live in New Orleans?
Well, I lived in New Orleans for like about 31 years.
And Mr. Jackson, were you in New Orleans when Hurricane Katrina hit and the levees were breached?
Definitely, I was there for the storm. I mean, I haven't any place to be, but there at home. I mean, because of the evacuation, plan that was put out. Basically, we just thought we just gonna get wind damage, no more than not know that the levees are gonna be breached.
Could you describe for us what the results were?
The results was bad. Right after the storm, we basically stayed, like I said, overnight. The next morning that we got up, by me being a working class citizen in New Orleans, that I have some security dogs that was secured in one of the complexes that I worked for, and I happened to go check on my dogs over one of the bridges. What did I see? That when I got down to the foot of the bridge, I seen about like 8 feet of water, because the fence that I had my dogs in was about 8 feet, and the water had overtopped the fence. So I assumed that my dogs were dead. Okay, so went back over the bridge, back to my place, resident. The water was on the opposite side because it was coming up through the drainage. The complex that I lived in basically got 6 feet of water. As the water was rising, folks was leaving because of the water was rising, and that each step that they make forward, that the water was lower, and so we seen people just streaming for help, streaming definitely. Kids, I mean kids no more than 4 feet high on top of shoulders. We would see like dead bodies that nobody paid attention to. Actually, the night before the storm, the morning, that's where we seen dead bodies, we seen dead animals.
Mr. Jackson, what help was received?
No help at all, especially in them surrounding around the housing development, which they said in the New Orleans that New Orleans is like a bowl. So we basically got the water in the bowl where the water was for the housing development and the surrounding of the housing development. Okay.
And what was the preparation for the evacuation, and what was the process for evacuation?
None at all. I mean, because you had folks in the housing development. I mean, didn't have with lack of transportation. I mean, they couldn't go anywhere because after the water was rising and the people was flocking to the Superdome, it was devastating to me. I mean, I'm a living witness in New Orleans after the storm and the levee breach. And I seen all kind of activities as that. Death, people crying, people pushing people around in shopping carts just to get to the Superdome. Private citizens that's had boats that came to the rescue, not the government. I'm talking about the folks that's in the neighborhood that was out with boats that were allowed to get people out of here, and basically private owned trucks, no government trucks, to get the people to the Superdome and also to get the people to the convention center. So days later, that's when the ride help so-called arrived, but it wasn't in that community itself.
Thank you for your testimony, Mr. Jackson. We'll have further questions for you momentarily.